Hello and welcome. Welcome to this short, sweet, simple 30-minute practice with me, Sophie. My name's Sophie. I'm an occupational therapist, chronic pain specialist, yoga teacher and yoga therapist. And today's practice is for those mums with a 10-week-old baby who are experiencing symptoms related to a mild prolapse and also lower back pain. So let's just take a sweet little exploration into why you might have these symptoms, the possible why. So essentially, remember when you had baby and baby was in your tummy? When you had baby in your tummy, you remember well you were carrying a big load, and the heaviness of your baby will have altered your posture. And if you can see me carrying my yoga ball baby, it's going to make my spine go into what we call lordosis, a lordotic arch of the lower back. And it's a bit of a spectrum, the body. Interestingly, sometimes when we've carried baby, the muscles in our lower back, which some of them sound like Harry Potter spells, one of them's called quadrus lumborum and the other one's called the erector spinae. There are lots of other muscles connected in here to the hips and the iliopsoas, etc. But if we just keep it simple, this kind of sticking your bottom out action when you're carrying a load can weaken the muscles of the lower back, and that weakness can lead to tightness, which can lead to pain. So sometimes we have weak muscles that cause pain and tight muscles that cause pain because we've changed our usual position of how we would normally be sitting and walking around in life. So lower back pain is a common symptom of people who have been pregnant and then had their baby and are in this postnatal phase of recovery and rehabilitation. And then the other one is pelvic floor weakness, tightness and prolapse. So just so that we get to grips with this, the pelvic floor muscles are the bits inside of your body that keep all of the other bits in place. And what I'm referring to are these muscles that are all connected that keep the waste systems of your body functioning, so your ability to go and have a wee and go and open your bowels. So when we're carrying the load of baby again, my yoga ball baby here, the pelvic floor muscles can of course become weaker as they become softer, because when you're pregnant you get this hormone called relaxin that cascades through the body to allow for a softening and opening as your body expands, grows, carries load, and then prepares for the baby to journey down through the birth canal and out onto planet Earth with you now, already 10 weeks old. So with the pelvic floor muscles, we're going to do some work today on being aware of them and understanding that when they are weak, there can also be some pain as well, sometimes in some people. So the pelvic floor muscles are the muscles in our private areas. So as my mum would say, your front bottom and your back bottom, the space in between. So if you think of it as the muscles in your vagina and your cervix, the space in between perineum and the anus. And when we are looking to lift, it's this internal lift. I always think of it like this is your pelvic floor muscles, and it's just this gentle lift and gentle lower of the pelvic floor muscles. I'll talk you through this more as we go through the practice today, but I just really wanted to give you some reassurance that you've just been through an amazing life event. You are a phenomenal human being. You have given birth. Your body has just done something entirely miraculous, and so the body's remembered what you've been through, and it's now retaining some of that and being like, some of these areas need TLC. So yeah, today we're going to work on the lower back, the pelvic floor muscles. enough chit chat and let's begin. So, what we can do is you've got options, and there is always options in yoga. In yoga, we want to make the practice work for you. You're not here to work for the practice. There should be no pain, no pins, needles, numbness, or tingling. This is a practice that is nurturing, that is nourishing, that is strengthening and stabilizing in the appropriate way, given your symptoms of your health conditions at this moment in time. So, to begin with, your options are you can get nice and comfortable in a sitting position. You can sit on a bolster and you can go cross-legged and just come into this position of easy sitting. We're just doing easy sitting for now. Or it might be that you're somebody who doesn't feel comfortable like that, and you might prefer to sit on a bolster like this, but it's not for everybody because of the knees. For lower back pain, my number one yoga shape for lower back pain is constructive rest. Constructive rest, when we've got these bolsters, blankets, and everything that's available to us in this practice today, you can take the bolsters underneath the knees, and then you just allow the feet to go onto the earth, place a blanket underneath the head and the neck, and you're looking for the ankles to be rooted down on the ground, so you move the bolster up as far as feels comfortable. Hands come either side of the waist, shoulders away from the ears. This is constructive rest, and the reason it's good for lower back pain, or it may be good for lower back pain, remembering that yoga is always an exploration and an experiment to see what works for you, is that when you put a break into these knees, it softens the deep hip back muscle called the iliopsoas, and it starts to signal to your nervous system that perhaps it's time to rest and relax. So take whatever shape feels comfortable for you today, and we're going to start off with a very simple grounding practice. You're a new mum. You feel like you need to have eyes in the back of your head. You're doing a million things all at once. We're going to start by just coming into this practice, coming into this room. So with the eyes open, I want you to now silently, privately in your mind, just begin to count on your hand 5 things about this environment that you've simply not noticed. So it might be just the reflection of a light that's coming into the room. It may well possibly be just a little aspect of a piece of art on the wall, or just something. Just 5 things that you've not noticed visually about this particular space. And then, as simple as that, take a gentle breath in and have a sigh out. And I always say have a sighing sound out like this. Sighing is a great way to allow your nervous system to express itself. So have a gentle breath in, have a little sighing sound out. And then we're going to go for 4 things that you can touch. Now, you don't need to move off your bolster. You don't need to change your position from lying down in constructive rest. Just begin to maybe touch your t-shirt and just notice the texture of your t-shirt, or maybe your trousers. And you're just counting 4 things without needing to change your position that you can touch. Maybe it's the texture of the mat, or the earth next to you. Maybe it's the back of your hand. When you've got your 4 things, Take a slightly deeper breath in and have that sighing sound out if it feels good and right for you today. Excellent. Now we're going to go for 3 things that we can hear. 3 things that we can hear, and of course the sound of my voice counts as one. Take a gentle breath in and have your sighing sound out. And from here we're going to go to 2 things that you can smell. 2 things that you can smell. So it might be that you need to just have a little sniff of your t-shirt. You might be able to smell baby, of course you can. Or maybe you can smell your laundry detergent, or maybe you got a chance to spray a little bit of perfume today. Doesn't matter if you didn't. Maybe you can just smell your hair or the blanket. 2 things. Take a gentle breath in and then have a sigh out. Then we're going to go for last one thing that we can taste. You're going to take your tongue and you're going to roll it over the top of your teeth to the back, down over the bottom set of the teeth and round. Just do a few of those and then do some swallows and just see if you can notice one thing that you can taste. Take that gentle breath in and then have that sigh out. Excellent work. So from here today, we're going to tune into our pelvic floor muscles. If we've got this mild prolapse, what we want to start to explore is journeying towards a gentle awareness and strengthening of the pelvic floor muscles. But first we need to connect our brain, our mind, to this area of the body. So you could do this in sitting or you could do it in lying down. I'm going to teach this in sitting, so that you can look at me if you need to. So we've got this area of the body that's in our private region. We've got the front bottom, the middle and the back bottom, the space in between. And what we're going to do is look to do an internal lift of this area and then an internal release. So I'm just going to cue it with my hand like this. We're looking to lift those internal muscles of that private area region and then release these muscles. Now, you know when you've been in the supermarket and you've got a full trolley of shopping and then you need the toilet and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to let this trolley go so someone might put all my food back and I'll have to start again. And you desperately need a wee, so you kind of hold up this private area of your body. Or maybe you need to trump and it's not appropriate. Now we know from baby that it's better out than in. It's better out than in for you as mums, of course, too. But I'm just getting you to think of that time where, you know, you didn't want to trump, so you held it in. So it's that idea, that internal lift and then that internal release. Now, my yoga teacher, Jane, really beautifully cues this as, imagine that, you know, there's a spider's web and you're just gently tugging on the spider's web and then you allow it to release. This already is cultivating our awareness into our pelvic floor muscles. So we're going to do some gentle squeezing and gentle release. So we do a gentle squeeze and then release. Squeeze and then release. Gentle squeeze and then a real soft release. Now we're going to do a gentle squeeze and a hold, but what we don't want to do is hold the breath in here. That's not what I'm looking to do. Instead, we're looking to just recruit and lift into that spider's web, those pelvic floor muscles gently, and hold. So I'll cue your breath as well. So we're going to gently squeeze in and lift, hold, breathe in and out as you 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 hold, and then with a real finesse, just allow those pelvic floor muscles Then we'll go back to those slightly quicker ones again. So we do a gentle squeeze and lift, gentle release, gentle squeeze and lift, gentle release, gentle squeeze and lift, gentle release, gentle squeeze and lift, gentle release. Relax, take a breath in, have a sigh out. Then we're just going to have a quick little shake. So we're just going to shake our arms up. Shake your arms up. And even if you're down on the floor and you did that practice down on the floor, it's totally fine. You can just take your arms up above your head, give them a little shake, take a breath in, and then just give it a little excellent work. Okay, from here, if you're in your sitting position, we're now going to come into that lying down position, supine, as we call it. So we're going to have a little lie down onto the earth. And, you know, depending on how your head and neck are feeling, it's really common for mums, new mums, to get head, neck, shoulder tension. To be honest with you, it's common for everybody to get head, neck and shoulder tension. I always think about the old phrases like they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulder. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on for everyone, isn't there? But particularly for you, you're a new mummy. You've got more so going on than other humans, it's true enough. Make sure your head and your neck are nice and comfortable. I'm going to take the feet hip distance apart. The feet are hip distance apart if that feels okay for you. If not, reposition and find a place that feels as comfortable as feels right for you down on the mat. So we're going to take our hands to our hips and we've got the 4 fingers on the bony part at the front known as the iliac crest and the thumbs at the fleshy part at the back. Now sometimes people have wrist issues. Oh, there's so many things that can come from being pregnant and having a little baba. You know, picking your baby up and down all day long. So, you know, if you prefer to keep the thumbs and super glue them to the index finger, my yoga teacher, my yoga mentor, Amy, said that this is a really nice way to support the wrists. So you could do that, or you could have those thumbs down, whatever feels right for you. But we're going to come into pelvic tilts with this idea of releasing into the lower back. So we're going to tilt the pelvis forwards so that there is a little gap between the lower back and the earth, and then we're going to roll and tilt the pelvis back so that there's no gap between lower back and earth. We're going to tilt the pelvis forwards, roll and tilt the pelvis back. So ensure that your head and your neck feel comfortable. Maybe move the shoulders slightly away from your ears. Relax your jaw and allow the tongue to be loose and comfortable in the mouth. We're just getting used to at the moment, tilting the pelvis forwards and roll and tilt the pelvis back. Now, whether you're consciously aware of this or not, this is changing the position of the pelvic floor muscles that we've just been having some awareness of, that we've just been beginning to reconnect to. So pelvic tilts are an unconscious recruiting, I would say, a working of the pelvic floor muscles, but also this is excellent, or thought to be excellent, for the lower back. My yoga mentor, Marilyn, you probably noticed I have 3 yoga mentors, and that's it, I promise, just 3. Marilyn, my original yoga mentor, always recommended pelvic tilts for people experiencing lower back stiffness, tightness, aches and pains. And what she always said was that people think that it needs to be this big, expansive rock and tilt, but actually it's more about releasing the weight of your pelvis down into the earth and taking this subtle, tiny little tilt, a tiny tilt backwards and forwards, allowing those facet joints of the lumbar spine, the lower back, to just begin to find that semblance of support from gravity from the earth and the release of this movement tilting backwards and forwards. Now, if you want to, you can marry the breath into the movement here. So as you breathe in, you could tilt the pelvis forwards, and as you breathe out, you can roll and tilt the pelvis back. Breathe in, tilt the pelvis forwards, and breathe out, roll and tilt the pelvis back. Inhale as the pelvis comes forwards and exhale. Now with the breath, you might be breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, or you might prefer to do candle blowing or straw blowing breath. So breathing in through the nose, and as you exhale, you purse the lips and blow down through a small straw-shaped hole, as if you're blowing on a candle flame that you want to flicker and not be blown out like a birthday candle. Amazing. And then what we might do here is just pause, and then we're going to marry not only the movement, the breath, but also the pelvic floor into this. Now, if you're thinking, oh my day, Sophie, this is just too much for me to focus on right now, my brain is tired, you just stick with that movement, knowing that the movement is excellent. You could stick with candle blowing breath, knowing that that's got such a great potential benefit of moving you into the repair and renewal side of your nervous system, what we call a rest and digest. Or if you're wanting to tune into the pelvic floor muscles, what we're thinking about is when the pelvis tilts forwards, there's this relaxation, release, that releasing of the pelvic floor, and then as you roll and tilt the pelvis back, you gently squeeze in and lift into the spider web. So we release as it goes forwards and gently squeeze in as we roll and tilt back. Release the pelvic floor forwards, gently squeeze in and tilt back. Release as you come forwards and gently squeeze in. Now, yoga is all about finding this place between not too much effort that you're forcing, but not too much ease that you're not trying at all. So I just wanted to remind you that with the pelvic floor muscles, it's not a harsh movement. It's an exploration, expansion and release, and then a drawing inwards. Okay, from here we're going to come into our bridge pose, but we're using our little yoga ball baby as I used it at the beginning of the class. So you're going to take the yoga ball and you're going to place it in between the thighs. We're going to relax the hands down onto the earth. Maybe just gently move the shoulder blades in towards each other. That's helpful for some people, not for others. Shoulders slightly away from the ears, and there's a length at the back of the head and the neck. You can relax your jaw here. Then we take our attention down to the lower limbs. You've got the yoga ball in between the knees. I want you to first just pretend that you're pressing on a grape underneath the sole of your foot. Just press and notice which muscles that switches on, and then release. Press into your imaginary grape and then release. Press into your imaginary grape and then release. Then as you press into your imaginary grape, gently squeeze into the yoga ball. Notice the inner thigh muscle switch on and then release. Press into your grape, your yoga ball, and then release. Press into the grape, the yoga ball, and then release. From here, we're going to come up into our bridge pose. So we're going to press into the feet, lightly press into the yoga ball, and begin to lift the hips up towards the sky, the pelvis up. And as we do so, we're going to squeeze into what we call our glutes, our bottom muscles. And then once we're up, we know that we're using these muscles to stabilize and strengthen here. Pressing down into the feet, lightly into the yoga ball. The glutes are switched on. Now, it's not about how high up you can go. It's about what feels right for you. That thing of yoga being how it feels, not how it looks. Now, once you're up, you can take a breath in, and as you exhale, you're going to roll the spine down from the top, bit by bit by bit, still lightly tuning into the glutes, the yoga ball, the feet. Then once the spine is resting on the earth, we totally can rest, relax, take a breath in, have a sigh out. And then off we go again. We press into the soles of the feet. We press into our yoga ball. We lift the hips up to the sky. And then maybe we have an exhale when we're up. Then stay there, have a breath in, and then as we exhale, we come down and we roll down vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae, coming down, coming down, coming down. Take a moment to reset, have a breath in, have a sigh out. Of course, you are sleep deprived. If you need to yawn at any point throughout this practice, enjoy. Ayurveda calls yawning and sighing two of the urges of the body. Ride out the urges, enjoy them, let them come, let them go. They're only going to serve to reset you. So from here, we're going to now build this pelvic floor awareness into the strengthening of our lower back, which bridge pose does. So we're pressing down into the feet, squeezing into the yoga ball, and then we breathe in. Our pelvic floor muscles are softened, and as we breathe out, we lift up, pressing into feet, yoga ball, glutes, and we lightly squeeze in those pelvic floor muscles. Then if you're ready on your exhale, you come down and you begin to roll the spine down a little bit, by a little bit, by a little bit, allowing those pelvic floor muscles to release and soften. You're down. Great. Take a breath in, have a sigh out, and move the yoga ball to one side. Excellent. Let's just take the opportunity for some opening. So breathe in, open the arms up above your head, spread into the palms of the hands, spread into your toes, squeeze into your bottom muscles. Keep this spreading and squeezing action, spreading and squeezing action. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, just go like marshmallow, go really soft. Fabulous. Take a breath in. And as we exhale, we take the right leg in towards the chest. So you could hold on to the thigh area, or you might hold on to the shin. If you've had a C-section, of course, you're just going to want to make sure that you've got that space that feels really comfortable around this area of your body. From here, we're just going to take some figure 8 sideways shape. So think about the number 8 on its side and just draw some figure 8s with that right big toe, just allowing for some softness in that right ankle. Perhaps we take a breath in, and as we exhale, we do the candle blowing or straw blowing breath. And then we go in the opposite direction. From here, we're going to breathe in into that full body stretch. If it's available to you, just take a moment of joy that you're here on your mat whilst baby is in the loving awareness, arms and attention of another caregiver. And as you exhale, take the left knee in towards the chest, maybe holding onto the thigh or the shin, making sure that all these things that we do feel right and comfortable for you today. And take those sideways figure 8s. Just feeling into that left ankle, asking yourself, how does my left ankle feel in this moment? Candle blowing breath, breathing in through the nose, exhale, blowing the air out. Opposite direction. Okay, now we're going to come up into tabletop. Now to get there, we are going to transition in a way that's really helpful if you've just had your baby. So obviously all of this area of our body is still healing. We've got this lower back pain and we've got some symptoms going on with our pelvic floor as well. But ideally, roll to one side and then push yourself up into sitting. And it's the same when you're in bed at night and you're getting up to tend to baby, like of course you need to do. Roll on one side, push yourself up rather than coming up in that core activating motion, just lie to sit. Roll on your side, push yourself up. These little transitions, the way that you approach tending to baby, functionally make a difference. They do make a difference. You're healing, you're recovering, you're doing amazing. All right, you're going to come into this tabletop position. Now, in tabletop, as we're getting a flavour, the body's keeping the score of what we're going through our lives, and Sometimes the knees and sometimes the wrists need a little bit of TLC after either, well, during pregnancy or in postnatal when baby arrives. So what you can do is a few things. You can either roll your mat up and just have it like triple, or for the knees you could take a blanket and then we could place it underneath the knees and it just softens things for us. And then with the wrists, you can do the same with the wrists. You can take the mat at the top and you can fold it up into this triple action, or because we do have the bolsters as part of this class, you could always just pop your hands onto bolsters too. It's different for everyone. Sometimes I work with people and they prefer to do like a little fist. Wherever we are, we're going to take the hands just further forwards than the shoulders, just to give us this kind of just a lesser of a load on the wrists, because you know you're constantly picking baby up, putting baby down. So we're here in this neutral tabletop position. So what do I mean by that? Neutral tabletop is where our head and neck are in alignment with the rest of our spine, and rather than us doing this sticking bottom out or the opposite, you can take the palm of your hand and just take it to the lower back area. And what we're looking for is just that little sweet small curve of the lower back, but the core muscles are still switched on a little bit. We're spreading into the palms of the hands and take a micro bend into the elbows. Don't straighten into the arm, take the micro bend into the elbows. And from here, we're going to come into cat-cow. So we've got our ankles hip distance apart. We're in this neutral spine. Maybe take a breath in and have a sigh out. Okay, from here, we're going to start at the bottom pelvis area. We're going to begin to just stick our bottoms out. Inhale, look forwards. Exhale, chin to chest as the belly comes in towards the spine. We breathe in and open into this cow shape. And as we exhale, we take chin to chest, rounding in and up. We breathe in and open. And exhale, we take chin to chest, rounding in and up. Amazing. Okay, from here, we're going to breathe in, come up into that cow shape. And as we exhale, just start to drop the bottom down towards the heels and let everything be fluid. Let your heels move and your knees move. Don't keep anything rigid whatsoever. And then we come down into child's pose as far as feels comfortable. We're then going to slide our nose along the earth and then press into the palms of the hands and come back into that neutral tabletop. And then from here, we're going to drop down into child's pose. We're going to breathe in, come up into neutral, exhale, dropping down. Inhale to neutral, exhale, coming down into child's pose. Okay, to include our pelvic floor awareness, when we breathe in, everything's nice and soft in the pelvic floor area, and as we breathe out, we pull that spider web in, just gently drawing in. Inhale, notice how everything softens. Exhale, drawing in. Okay, from here, we come to neutral tabletop. I'm going to take a little reset, a rest in a wide-legged child's pose. But there's so many lovely things that you can do when you've got a bolster. So if you just wanted to do like usual child's pose with no bolster whatsoever, you take your knees slightly wider than hip distance apart. One thing I've picked up on over the years is that sometimes people really send their knees as wide as they possibly can, externally rotating into their hips. I would say don't do that. This is just my professional experiences. Just take the knees wider than hip distance apart, but don't feel like you need to go to your end range of motion, as we call it. Like, don't take your knees as far as they can possibly go. Like, just take them 80%. Just try it and just explore and see what you think, see what you make of it. And we've got the opportunity to then take the bottom slightly closer towards the heels, and we can either take the forehead down on the earth and have the arms forwards, or if we've got this bolster, we could, I mean, there's so many things you can do when you've got props. You can take your yoga ball and place it underneath, have your hands on the yoga ball, and then just do this little slanted position. Take your left ear down and just have a little rest in this supported wide-legged child's pose. Or you can have it, you can do that without the yoga ball, taking one ear down. And another variation that I love, I'm all about choice. Choice and options, invitations. This is your practice. You could always take your elbows onto the bolster, slide it away, and then take your forehead down onto the bolster in the horizontal way. The more we practice together, the more you'll get to explore and experiment and find what feels right and good for you. So find what feels right and good for your lower back today, and just give yourself this permission to take some rest here. Allow the breath to be natural. Allow your breath to be natural and easy. Short and shallow in its design, perfect just as it is. Be aware of your breath in a wide-legged child's pose, but know now that you're not changing or altering anything. You're just noticing your breath. Okay. Maybe we'll take 3 breaths in and out together. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, from here when you're ready, you're going to push yourself up, and we're going to adjust in possibly your chosen shape for Shavasana or your penultimate shape. Let me explain. We're going to do constructive rest or legs up against the wall. There's different ways in which we can do this. Okay, so what we could do is take a blanket and put your mat up towards your couch. Okay. And just for the purpose of this, I want you to imagine that I've got a wall here as well, so I can show you the 2 shapes, or the Shavasana constructive rest in which we started in. So for the legs up against the wall pose, you take a blanket, I think, and have it right up against the wall, and same if you're doing legs on the couch or the chair pose. And what you do then is it's also nice, to be honest, to have a little cushion and maybe put this underneath your head and your neck, depending on how your head and your neck are feeling. And then what I always say is take one hip as close to the wall as what you can on your blanket, and then you're going to come down onto one side. So come down onto one side, take your bottom as close as you can towards the wall and the couch, and then these are our options. We've got the blanket underneath the lower back, cushion underneath the head of the neck, so that feels nice for me today. And then if you imagine I've got the wall here, legs up against the wall is where you simply just take your legs against a wall, and don't feel like you need to straighten into your legs. No, we're not doing anything to do with the hamstrings here. We're just going to bend into the knees, allow the feet to be soft, and just place them on the wall. And then we move the shoulders away from the ears. If that feels nice, relax the jaw, pound the hands, either facing up or down, totally up to you. This is legs up against the wall. Or, of course, if we're doing legs on the couch or legs on the chair, we simply allow the calves to settle. It might be nice for you to have the knee in alignment with the hip, but it might not. It might not feel nice for you. So just reposition and make sure your spine at the lower back is feeling nice and comfortable. Head and neck, that curve of the cervical or cervical, some people pronounce it, neck area of the spine is nice and supported. So this is your option. These shapes are thought to be very helpful for the pelvic floor muscles because gravity is changing the circulation of blood, and where, I mean, some people say where your attention goes, energy flows. Where energy goes, healing occurs. And this isn't woo-woo. What I mean by this is when we change the circulation, blood flow to this particular area of the body, we need blood to move around our body to heal. It's part of our innate healing mechanism, how we repair and renew at a cellular level. And of course, for the lower back, you've got your legs either up, gravity's taking your weight, your lower back's not having to do the hard work. It's such a hard working area of your body. It takes all the load, the lower back. So you've either got, your legs up and the lower back's resting, or you've got your calves on the couch and the lower back is resting. Or, as I said, you might just want to go into constructive rest. I mean, I know constructive rest is part of the Alexander technique, where you're down on the floor and you've got a blanket underneath head and neck, bolster underneath knees, beginning to allow the body to find some expansion, some softness and some release in whichever of the shapes that you want to be in. Knowing that we are coming towards the end of your yoga session today. Allow the breath to be natural and easy here. Noticing gravity, the earth beneath you. Taking this unique time to be with your body, your breath. Sometimes it's really challenging for us to go from operating at this level of being mum and fulfilling that role of mum with everything that comes with that. The thousands and thousands and thousands of thought, the energy, the effort, the attention to being mum, caregiver, to then dropping in to a practice that's encouraging you to explore some silence. So if you feel like your mind is dancing off to the future or journeying into the past, maybe just say to yourself, just in your mind silently, I am breathing in on the breath in. I am breathing out on then if you're in legs up against the wall or legs up on the couch, if you're on legs up against the wall, you're going to bend into your knees, bring the knees slightly closer towards the chest, and same with legs on the couch. Then you're going to roll onto one side, and then from there push yourself up into sitting. And then you've got the option to either finish in Shavasana for as long as what you want and what you need, for as long as baby's being taken care of. You decide when your practice finishes. Whenever you're ready, we could close our practice altogether today. Should you wish, we can just take one hand onto the heart centre, the other hand on top, and maybe we just gaze down towards the nose, closing the eyes, or just looking down towards the earth if closing the eyes just isn't right for you. And we just take a moment to feel the subtle sensations of our body, whether it be our heart beating, maybe some little fizzes and gurgles of the digestive system, or some warmth or coolness in your body. Post-natal yoga gives us the opportunity to come home to ourselves, our body, our breath, recharging your batteries, resetting you so that you can go onwards, and continue being the amazing, incredible mum that you are. Thank you very much for joining me in this practice today. And we could close with a traditional word which wishes ourselves and all beings everywhere endless peace. And that word in yoga is Shanti. So thank you very much for coming. And of course,